Hi, welcome to my workshop. My name's Darren, and this is Joinery episode 2.1, the FMT mortise and tenon jig by Leigh. Now, there's a number of different mortise and tenon jigs available in various different price ranges, and this happens to be one of the ones I've had. I've had this unit for over 15 years. There is one almost identical to it still available, and they have a new version as well, which is a little bit cheaper. Now, the joy of using a good jig is that you get nice, clean, accurate, easily repeatable joints. And if you're doing a large batch of joints, it's definitely a good way to get a lot of them done fairly quickly. All right, let's take a look. So what is the FMT mortise and tenon jig? Well, it's a jig made by Leigh. It's solid aluminium. It's about 460 by 280 by 210 millimeters in size. It has a section on the bottom that allows you to screw it down to a workbench or a shelf or something like that for support. Or as I've done, I've screwed it to a piece of wood, which I then clamp down to my bench. That works well and makes it easier for packing it away at the end of the day. But of course, if you were mounting it on like a shelf, you could leave it there permanently. This is the top of the unit. We have this piece here that allows us to pull it out and sight down onto our timber to make sure we're centered. We'll get onto that in more detail very shortly. Over on this side is where our templates fit in. So here's one of my sets of template. These are the 8mm templates. And what you do, let me pick the one I'm actually going to use. Here we go. So this template does an 8 by 25mm mortise and tenon. All right, and the templates just click in like so. Let's pop that fella in that end and then push it down at this end. And there we are. We'll get onto more detail as to how that works in a moment. At the back, there's a spot for attaching a dust hose to remove the dust as we route the joints. If we swing around to the front here, you can see here, this is the dust extraction port that goes to the hose I just showed you. And this, of course, is the area where all the routing happens. So it does suck in a large portion of the dust. I wouldn't say 100%, but it's pretty good. Also on the front, you can see we've got one clamp already on. It comes with two clamps. I've got another one here, which you position where needed. There's a fence, which has a little piece to keep it square down the bottom, so you don't have to worry. If you take the fence off and put it back on, it's going to go on square, which is good. But haven't used it for a while, so while we're here, let's check it. So the jig needs to be square in two directions, or two places. One, the face needs to be square to the top, which it is, and also the fence needs to be square to the unit and I guess also to the top. So and there we are, we can see our fence is square. So that's good. Okay, if we take a look at the underside of the jig and let's zoom in a bit, you can see there are these two pins and the pins fit into the top of the base jig and guide the route a bit. So the first pin sits into this slot here and just keeps the unit moving in a linear direction. The second pin either sits in this slot here when you're doing a mortise or sits on the outside of here when you're routing the tenon. And as you can see, there are multiple holes on the base plate, so it fits a wide variety of different routers. I myself have a Bosch GOF 1300 ACE. Okay, so I've taken a couple of pieces of timber. I've planed them all nice and square and checked for square on them, cut the ends off square, and this piece does have a big knot hole in it, but we're not going to worry about that. That's not in the portion we're going to be using. Okay, we need two things for marking out our tenon. We need the center point marked so we can center it on the jig, and we need a depth of cut marked, which is obviously going to be less, unless we're going all the way through, which we're not going to do today. Obviously needs to be less than this thickness, okay? And then for the mortise, we're going to mark a center line here and then a cross line where the mortise is. Now, in the manual, they recommend you leave some overhang on the mortise. It works better on the jig that way, and then cut that off at the end. It is possible to do it without doing that, but on thinner pieces of stock like this, there can be a little bit of flex, just a tiny bit that sort of puts it off. Okay, so I'm going to find center for our tenon here. Now, for those of you who are getting sick of seeing my centre finder, I did make a video on finding centre using various other methods. So please feel free to have a look at that if you don't have one of these. Alright, so there's the centre of our tenon. Our timber is 35 millimetres wide, so we want our tenon and our mortise to be less than that. I think 25 is good. It'll leave us with 10 mil of meat at the end. Alright, so that's our depth of cut. On our mortise piece, we just have to decide where we want our mortise. Okay. Now for better clamping in the jig, so as the wood doesn't flex, the book actually recommends having a little bit of extra stick over so it fits in the jig a bit better. So we're going to actually make our centre point here. Now of course remember that if you're going to have a bit hanging over you're going to cut off later, you do need to allow for that. Okay, you need to have your timber longer by that amount. So the first thing to do is slide the sight forward because we're going to rest the top of our timber on the underside of that. And then we're going to take our timber with the depth of cut mark facing outwards so we can see it, put it hard up against the fence and then raise it till it just touches that sight we slid out on the top and clamp it in place. Okay, so now that's in place, we're going to come up to the top. Okay, so I've loosened off these 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, and then this little clamp here, that's done up, that's loose. That allows me to move this table around, as you can see, and then to line up the sight here with our little cross in the top. Okay, now I've got that centered over our cross in our piece of wood. We're going to zoom out. And what we're going to do is we're just going to tighten these all back up again, so as our table doesn't slip. There we go. Alright, so that's all locked down. I'll lock it down again with that as well. And there we are, it can't move. So we move that out of the way so we don't route it and grab our router. Each of the set of templates comes with an associated router bit. This is the 8mm router bit with a 1/2 inch shaft and we're going to use that one today. I'm just going to put that in the router and place it on our jig. Now you might recall earlier I mentioned these pins, one here and one here, and mentioned that we put this pin in the slot here for a mortise. That one stays in here over there permanently, and for the tenon, which we're doing now, this pin will run around the outside of the template. So there we go, you can see here, we come in, we hit the template on all sides, and that indeed will allow us to trim our timber. Alright, so now we're going to set our depth of cut. I'm just going to bring the router plate forward all the way, and then plunge it down. Alright, as you can see that's too deep at the moment, so I'm just going to ease that up slightly using the knob on the top of the router. Now when we make the cut, we're going to initially just skim the wood going clockwise. Now it's a climb cut, but we've got good control of it in the jig here, so it shouldn't be doing any harm. And what we're going to do is we're just going to shave off a thin shoulder around it, and then we'll rotate around anti-clockwise as we finish the rest of the cut. There we go. So that's our climb cut done. As you can see, we've got our shoulder. So now we're going to go around the opposite direction and bring it down to the final size. That was easy. We've cut ourselves a tenon. Let's take that off and see how lovely it looks. Okay, there we are. There's the tenon all nice and cut, and you can see how lovely and crisp, not just the shoulder, but the whole mating face is there. And yeah, it's lovely and neat all the way around. It really does do a beautiful tenon. Now we're going to cut the mortise. I pressed our timber hard up against the bottom of the top plate and clamped it in place with 2 clamps. Now what I'm going to do is extend this little piece I made myself here just to support the end of the wood and stop it from flexing. And if you buy the newer version of this, you can use the fence to do what I'm doing now, so you don't have to make one of these. Because the timber we're using here is the same thickness as the piece with the tenon on it, this line is already perfectly lined up when we clamp it in place. And I've actually done a fairly good job of lining it up here too. But had I have not, and let's pretend I didn't, what we would do is we would just loosen these two off a little bit, just so as we can make a fine adjustment. And go there, release this clamp that holds the top, and now we can slide our plate until we have that perfectly lined up, like that. And tighten those down. So like before, we're going to put the router back on. The only difference is we're going to engage the pin in the center here, so as we cut a nice little groove. When we do cut, we're going to do a series of plunge cuts to do our holes first. That way, we're not doing like a little bit and pulling side to side and risking ending up with a crooked hole. If we do it with lots of plunge cuts, you end up with a better cut. It actually tells you that in the instructions too, so it's not just me making that up. Now it's important that you use your router's depth stop here to make sure you don't go too deep. You should probably have used it before when you did the tenon as well. I did, but didn't mention it. But now when we do the mortise, it's really important that this is locked in place for a maximum depth of cut, because that's the only thing we've got to go on. We won't be able to see the tip of the router bit. It'll be buried inside the wood. All right, now, as I mentioned before, we're going to do full plunges to full depth to make several holes, and then we'll slide the router side to side to link them up. All right, and there's our mortise. I did get a tiny bit of breakout just here, or tear out just here, but it's minimal, and once the joint's together, you'll never see it, of course. Right, so there we are, another mortise and tenon joint, and a very nice and tight one, and as you can see, a very nice, neat job. Now a video like this, because I have gone over the jig, isn't really complete without a bit of a pros and cons, so let's focus back in on the jig and we'll go over that. Okay, starting with the pros, it's very well built. As I said, I've had this for 15 years now, and it still works as well as it did when it was new. Everything's been well thought out. It has all the parts and things you need. One thing I didn't show you earlier is you can undo the front here, and this portion slides out. That's for doing angled tenons. The dust extraction port on the back works really well. You get very little spilt dust, even doing mortises, which is amazing. The router plate will fit a wide variety of routers. I do recommend a decent sized router for this, something with a bit of oomph, because it has got to do some fairly hefty cutting. This isn't something for a trim router. These are the templates, and there's a wide variety of those available. I have 11 different here. We've got 6 that use the 8mm bit and 5 that use the 12mm bit. These are available in Imperial, but there are a couple of cons. First con, obviously, this is not a cheap unit. It costs a fair bit of money. And the other con is that the length of the piece of timber you're cutting the tenon in the top of is limited by the distance between the plate and the floor. So that is 190mm plus whatever you've got from the surface to the floor. I won't be putting a tenon on the top of this piece. Fortunately, that's not a problem that comes up often. That brings us to the end of another one. So let me just say that setup time with it isn't that long. It's pretty quick to set up, especially after you've used it a couple of times before. And it's great for batching out parts if you've got to do a lot of them. You've seen the other pros and cons. So I would be inclined to recommend this to someone who does a lot of mortise and tenons and who wants something very repeatable. If you only do the occasional mortise and tenon, then there are other ways that are cheaper and in some cases quicker. The open mortise and tenon I showed in the last video might be just the solution for you if you're an occasional tenon maker. There are other methods as well, and we'll go over at least one more of those in a future video. But that's it for today. Bye for now, have a great day, and I will catch you in the next video.